Revving engines, adrenaline-pumping action, and a blaze of speed lit up the iconic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps as the 2023 Belgian Grand Prix unfolded in a breathtaking spectacle. It was the third Grand Prix weekend of the 2023 season to utilize the sprint format. The roar of Formula One's finest vehicles ignited the atmosphere with a feverish anticipation. The Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, a rollercoaster of a track, awaited the fearless contenders and of course promised twists and turns. And a very interesting twist and turn occurred during the race. You'll have to stick around to find out the details. Max Verstappen, a force to be reckoned with, seized the opportunity and blazed a trail of supremacy, conquering both the sprint and Grand Prix itself with an electrifying finesse that left fans on the edge of their seats. Verstappen's journey to glory was no easy ride, or should we say drive. He went on and charged through the pack from 6th position after a grid penalty, defying the odds with a performance that embodied the very essence of Formula One. A combination of speed, strategy, and sheer determination. The 2023 Belgian Grand Prix was the final race before the summer break is over, and it's also 4 long weeks for Formula One lovers from the next Grand Prix. Max Verstappen gave F1 fans something to discuss at least the next Grand Prix through a spectacular and brilliant performance at the sprint race, podium, and the Grand Prix. However, the events that occurred at the Belgian Grand Prix would not be complete if the incident between Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri is not mentioned. Remember the twists and turns you were to stick around and find out? Well, here it is. Carlos Sainz is a name that is quite familiar to Formula One fans. He's a Spanish racing driver competing in the Formula One for Scuderia Ferrari. He's the son of Carlos Sainz Sr., the double World Rally champion. Might ring a bell for some long-time racing lovers. Oscar Piastri, on the other hand, is an Australian racing driver currently competing in Formula One for McLaren. He's a young and promising F1 driver, and it's interesting to note that he is the youngest driver on the F1 grid, one of 3 current Formula One drivers born in the 2000s. Oscar Piastri has endeared the hearts of many to him through his impressive performance, especially considering his age and also his positive personality. A lot of Formula One fans credit him for having a certain degree of maturity uncommon for a Formula One rookie. This incident at Belgian Grand Prix probably reaffirmed this belief. Enough history and personality talks, let's get straight into today's tea. Lewis Hamilton, positioned like a chess master on the 3rd spot of the grid, made a bold move to intercept the charging Carlos Sainz, who set off from 4th. Sainz had to hit the brakes, locked up and swung to the inside line, underbraking to avoid ramming into Hamilton. Whilst doing that, he swung right into Oscar's line. The outcome? A synchronized collision that left Sainz's car in an unexpected embrace with the McLaren's front left wheel, and pinned Piastri's McLaren against the concrete barrier lining the apex at La Source. This happened on turn 1 on lap 1 of the Belgian Grand Prix. This resulted in a damage to Piastri's car so severe that he couldn't make it to the pits. Basically, the Spanish driver locked up going into turn 1, and at the same time Piastri went for a gap on the inside. However, with the lockup, there was nowhere for Sainz to go, and so the pair collided with each other as well as Piastri scraping the wall. Sainz went too deep into turn 1 and had to hit the brakes to avoid hitting the rear of Hamilton's Mercedes. Sainz insisted that he didn't go deep at the corner, though he agreed that he had locked up. He also said he was aware Piastri was on the inside and he expected someone to back out. The someone in this case should definitely not have been him. It's interesting to note that any other corner on lap 1 or any other lap, the Spanish driver would have been penalized for moving under braking and causing a collision. But here comes the twist. Things are pretty different on lap 1 and turn 1. Hence, both drivers were not penalized. Following the collision, the McLaren driver gracefully guided his car to the track's edge, navigating just a handful of corners. Meanwhile, Sainz persisted for a while and eventually had to retire on lap 23 to save mileage. It was a rather disappointing end to the race for both drivers as they had to retire untimely. F1 fans have been criticizing Carlos Sainz for his public response to the collision between him and Oscar Piastri. Why? Well, as usual, stick around to find out. In the press conference following the race, Carlos said, "I went to pass Lewis into turn 1 and I think I had the move pretty much done. and suddenly I received contact on my rear right from Oscar. I didn't expect him to choose to be 3 into turn 1 and for him to be so much up my inside. My opinion, if you want to know, I've been racing at Spa for 7 or 8 years, and everyone who's tried that move on the very inside has always generated an incident or a crash. This last statement was quite ironical because Sainz was also trying the inside line into turn 1, and it generated an incident. He also said that, "I did at one point see that he was on the wall pretty much, but I was more focused on my battle with Lewis and I didn't miss the apex or anything. I went to attack Lewis and Oscar went to attack Lewis and me, which I think was a bit optimistic." After the race, Sainz intriguingly also turned to social media, wagging his virtual finger at the rookie with a tweet that sparked some online chatter and perhaps outrage. It goes thus: "Not the way I wanted to finish the first part of the season. Hamilton stayed behind Perez and I attacked him from the inside. Then came the contact with Oscar and that was it, a racing incident. But in my opinion, Oscar was way too optimistic, as he was never side by side with me, and making that move from behind has never really worked here in Spa. I'm disappointed, but it's also part of racing." On a positive note, it looked like the pace was good today, so congrats to the team and Charles on an encouraging result. "We need to keep pushing hard to make sure we come back strong after the break and have a good second half of the season." He outrightly placed the blame on Oscar Piastri, blaming his inexperience and referring to it as a rookie mistake. This did not sit well with Formula One lovers at all. Oscar Piastri accepted responsibility for his role in the collision and also said that he felt Sainz could have done more to avoid the collision. In his words, the first-year F1 driver said, "I think from Carlos's point of view, the move to the right surprised me a bit. Then for myself, I think from there I was quite limited. Maybe I could have braked a bit later and been further alongside, but it's very easy to say that with hindsight. I think once I was in that position, it was quite hard to either go forward or go backward, and I was kinda stuck. I tried to do the best I could from that position, but there wasn't much I could do." The move from Sainz was pretty late, and there was absolutely no way Piastri could have backed out. Both parties could have done something to avoid this incident, as it was very avoidable. If Carlos Sainz had stayed in his lane rather than make a last-minute move while braking, and if Piastri had eased off his move a bit earlier, they might have navigated the situation more smoothly, given the anticipation of someone aiming for the apex. As mentioned earlier, it was a disappointing weekend for both drivers. Oscar Piastri finished second at the sprint race podium behind Max Verstappen, who later went on to the 2023 Belgian Grand Prix. It was a rather disappointing end to the spectacular weekend, due to the first-year Formula One driver who even started in the top 5 at the Grand Prix. It would have been an excellent chance to showcase his capabilities. It could easily have been Piastri's 5th points finish of the season and his 4th classification ahead of his teammates. Carlos Sainz might have also missed out on the opportunity to pull off a spectacular drive to make Formula One lovers see him a superior racer, despite him finishing with high points this season. In the midst of revving engines and adrenaline-pumping action, the 2023 Belgian Grand Prix at the iconic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps unfolded with a fiery spectacle. Max Verstappen's electrifying skill and expertise stole the show, conquering both the spirit and the Grand Prix itself. However, the spotlight also fell on an unexpected collision between Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri, and the chain reactions following this incident. As the roar of engines subsides and the summer break set in, the incident might just have added another layer of intrigue to the Formula One season. I guess we'll all have to find out. Who do you think was at fault? Kindly comment below. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also turn on your post notifications so you don't miss out on our exciting content. And see you in the next video.